So then we move on. We have Texas, Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay wins because that also helps the Orioles a lot. I think Texas, great team.
You think Tampa Bay wins?
I do think Tampa Bay wins.
You know what's crazy?
What?
They lost tonight, which means they're
I
out.
think it's over.
Yeah, they're done.
They lose tonight. They're over.
No, they already lost.
happened. The series
Yeah,
is
they already
over.
lost.
I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
You have to leave that in too.
Yeah, leave that in. Welcome to Be Continued. We're your host. I'm Christian.
I'm Caleb.
And I'm Riley.
And before we get into the Week 4 recap and what we've all gone through and game predictions, we're going to start off with our MLB actual predictions for the playoffs. I know last week we gave our World Series predictions, but that was before the brackets were 100% set. So we're going to go through by the matchup. So I'm going to let Caleb start this off. Or Riley, which one do you guys can start?
I'm pulling up my bracket. Got my bracket in front of me now.
Are we doing the whole thing, or are we doing it? Do you want to do it like?
Just go ahead and give me your whole thing, NL, NAL. Just go ahead and then we'll get this finish at the World Series and get the winner in games.
I'm taking AL first.
All right.
Minnesota's going to beat Toronto. Easier to say now that Minnesota's already won Game 1. I'm going to say with 100% certainty, I would bet my life, my house, everything that Texas will beat Tampa.
They already did.
I know, that's fine.
Okay.
And then we would have Minnesota against Houston, which Houston I think will win. Texas against Baltimore. I'm going to pick Texas. So there's my first upset, I guess you'd say, because I just don't
trust Baltimore.
I don't believe in Baltimore. I don't believe in their pitchers, and Texas can hit. Texas is like the American League version of the Astros. Like, people are sleeping on how good of a lineup the Rangers have. Like, 1 through 9 can hit.
Is Scherzer there? Or
I don't know. 2 ex-Yankees have carried them thus far. Jordan Montgomery, who every fan in New York is like, has revisionist history, and they're all like so mad that the Yankees traded him. He's a mediocre pitcher. He's like good but not great. Just relax. So anyway, I think Texas is going to beat the Orioles, especially if Scherzer is able to pitch. I know, like, I haven't seen any updates on him, but I know he was like hoping to make it back at some point. Now, I think the Minnesota series could actually be a series with Houston, because I think Minnesota's pitching, starting pitching in particular, might be a little bit better than Houston's. I'm a believer in Sonny Gray. Jorge Lopez is pretty good. Maeda has pitched some big games. But I think Houston experience is going to win out. I think Houston will win that series. And then you're going to have an all-Texas American League. And then Houston is going to win that, like, 4-1 probably. And I think, like, just as an aside, like, this bracket is brutal for MLB ratings.
Oh, yeah.
You got no Boston. You got New York. You got no LA. I mean, it's...
For the American
rough.
League.
You got no Chicago. Like, for the American League, yeah. For the American League is just rough. So on the National League side, if I'm going to keep going, just keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
All right. So National League side, man, Arizona already beat the Brewers, which not looking good for the Brewers, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick the Brewers. I think they're going to pull an upset. They're going to win the next 2. Well, it's not really an upset. They're the higher seed, but I think the Brewers will win the next 2. I think the Phillies will beat Miami easily, because I don't think Miami's very good. And then I think the Braves will handle the Phillies. I'd like the Phillies to win, but I think the Braves will win because their hitting is just a lot better. Their offense is on another level, and I think the Phillies have some good offense as well, but they don't really have the pitching in my eyes. I know Wheeler had a good start to his postseason, but the Marlins are not the Braves.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
The Marlins are, yeah. And on the other side, I think LA will beat the Brewers. And if the Brewers do lose, which is, I guess, likely since they're already down 1-0 in a best of 3, then I think LA will handle Arizona easily.
Well, if the Brewers do lose, wouldn't that mean the Phillies play LA in the second round?
Is that what would happen?
Because the Phillies are the higher seed, and the second seed usually always faces the higher seed, right? Or am
I guess, I don't know.
I don't remember how you guys do your brackets.
Well, I know, like, I'm just looking at the bracket on MLB, and it shows it going into that one.
Well, the reason I say it, because usually, like in NBA, NFL, usually it's based off once your original seeding. Usually the first seed will play the lowest possible seed, and the second seed will play the highest possible seed.
Yeah, well, whatever. I think the NLCS is going to be Atlanta and LA.
Yep.
And I think Atlanta will win because I don't think LA's pitching is there. Urias, what did he do? Beat his wife up or something? Or I forget what he did. He
Most
did something.
honorable thing a man can do.
He's suspended.
But, most LA pitchers do the same thing. So,
so that LA, Atlanta, I think Atlanta wins. I think we got an Atlanta-Houston World Series. I think Atlanta wins that one probably 4-1. Picking Atlanta as my World Series champion. Hope I'm wrong. I'd like to see the Phillies win. I'm rooting quietly for the Phillies, even though, like, if the Phillies win, you'll have to hear all the Philly fans because, local to them. But I'd much rather hear Philly fans than Oriole fans. So, Atlanta's my pick to go all the way.
all right, Riley.
I'm gonna start obviously with the Rays losing, so it'll be Texas and Orioles first. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I think that Texas is also gonna beat the Orioles because the Orioles have the highest. I think they have the most wins in the league this year, which in my eyes is just gonna lead to them upsetting everybody. So they're just gonna lose against Texas. The Blue Jays and I can't see who that is. The Twins. I think that the Twins are winning that one. I don't think it's really a debate. They're not. I think the Blue Jays aren't really what they are normally. I think at least the last couple of years they've won out their league and they've been impressive, but I just don't think they have been this season. And then you'll have Twins and Astros, which obviously I think the Astros are winning because I don't think the Twins even compare in a roster. So then
They got Correa though. Correa's a winner. He's a leader.
I think Houston. I also think Houston's got Texas or the Rangers. Sorry, because I just don't think. I think that Houston's the most impressive coming out of the AL, no matter what, no matter who wins anything. On the other side, I think the Marlins are going to lose to the Phillies tonight, which will lead the Phillies into a disaster, no matter what. So, and then I also think that the Diamondbacks are going to beat the Brewers. I don't think there's a chance for the Brewers to upset or come back and win that, but. Like you said, either way, whoever goes is losing because it's going to be Atlanta and the Dodgers because they're also the two most impressive teams. Which I'll have. I'm gonna go with Atlanta, or I'm gonna go with LA beating Atlanta in the championship, just because I want to differ, and then I'll go into the World Series and actually have Houston. I'll go and say Houston's gonna beat LA in the World Series.
LA Houston.
LA's gonna get their revenge if that happens, right?
Hope so.
I really
Joe
hope
Kelly.
So. Please, baseball gods, if you're out there, just don't let Houston win. I'm begging. Can you actually have them eliminated in the wild card? I know it's not in the wild card, but round 2. I know it's impossible.
I'd love to see the Twins win. I'd love to see the Twins go on a real run.
I would too.
But
I just don't think it's likely. Speaking of LA, I just want to put this in here. Did you guys see the video that Trevor Bauer put out about his case and how he can finally speak on it?
No.
He put out a video about it with proof that he did not beat that woman and how she texted people saying she was going to steal his money.
All right, Phillies, bring him in. So, I'll start off with the NL. I don't know what it is. I think Milwaukee will end up coming back and beating Arizona. Something about Milwaukee.
You're supposed to agree with me.
Well,
I'm usually right.
I think Miami's going to end up winning tonight. I know Miami's not that great of a team, but as a Phillies fan, you should know this. For some reason, the Phillies have always struggled with Miami. I know that wasn't the case last night, but it's been the case most of the season and really most of the last decade.
You could just say, as a Philadelphia fan, they just love to break your heart.
Oh, they do.
Yep.
I didn't even watch last night. I'm like, you know what? They've done great this year without me watching. I'm just like...
Not even just the Phillies.
That's just every Philadelphia
Sixer fan.
Yep.
I never put myself
Flyers.
through that one.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
But
it's always
I think the Phillies will end up winning this series 2-1, but I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than people think. Atlanta will end up playing Philadelphia. I think Atlanta wins that 3-2. It's going to be a great series. I just think you have the best team in baseball in Atlanta. I mean, they've been number one from the start to finish. I know Tampa Bay had that start at the beginning, but they finished horribly. Milwaukee, LA, I'd be an idiot to say Milwaukee's going to beat LA. It's not going to happen.
Milwaukee's got probably the best two pitchers in the postseason, but they're already down 1-0. So,
and if you're down,
they've got the best reliever.
I mean, if you're down 1-0 too, Arizona. Let's be honest. Arizona can't do nothing compared to LA.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, MLB is all about ratings as well. I mean, what would they rather have? Arizona versus Atlanta or LA versus Atlanta? I mean, one of these is going to get ratings, one might not.
So the league's not fixed like the NFL, though, Christian. There's no script in MLB.
Hey man, you don't know that.
I mean, 3-0 came back and beat the Yankees. I mean, that seemed kind of scripted to me.
Astros have been in the
Yankees had
World
no
Series a
pitching.
certain amount of time in the last few years.
Every year.
All right, but I got
The
the
Houston Classic.
So then I have the Braves beating the Dodgers 4-2. They're going to the World Series. AL, I'm gonna differ here. I think Toronto will end up beating Minnesota. I know it's crazy to say. I've just always had a soft spot for the Blue Jays. I think it's Vladimir. I've always liked Vlad. I know he's been one of my favorite players. So I'm kind of rooting for them to win.
It's the only player that I like on that team.
And it's also because if they
It's the only
win,
player I don't like on that
it's
team.
also if they win, it helps out the Orioles a lot. Even though I'm a major Phillies fan, I've always rooted for the Orioles just a little bit because I've been to a bunch of their games because family.
He's a Yankee hater.
Yeah,
So
but
I think it's because they kept getting his order wrong at McDonald's in New York. He's a big boy.
It's a weird assumption.
No, that's a Twitter thing.
what's
People-
Twitter?
people make fun
You
of
mean
it.
X?
X,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What's this Twitter?
New York Twitter, New York X likes to make fun of.
But if
it.
Toronto wins, it helps out the Orioles a lot. So then we move on. We have Texas, Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay wins because that also helps the Orioles a lot. I think Texas, great team.
You think Tampa Bay wins?
I do think Tampa Bay wins.
You know what's crazy?
What?
They lost tonight, which means they're
like
out.
it's over.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
done.
they lose tonight. They're over.
No, they
It
already lost.
happened. The series
Yeah,
is
they already
over.
lost.
I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
You have to leave that in too.
Yeah, leave that in. I have not been updated. I have not been following all that much.
Yeah, it
Never
happened
mind.
this
So,
afternoon.
Yeah, I didn't see that. That's on me.
Evaldi was shutting them out at last I saw. I don't know how it ended up.
Oops.
I think they only scored like 2 runs.
Well, Tampa, thank you. Idiots. So that means Texas moved on. Texas is playing, based on my predictions.
I like Randy Rosarina, but he's kind of a crybaby.
I think Orioles can beat Texas. I think the Orioles can get to the championship series. I think what's going to end up hurting the Orioles, I think if the Orioles go against a team that they can play confidently, which I think they can play Texas because, let's be honest, has Texas really seen the brightest of lights all that much as well? I mean,
Their best player is Corey Seager, who won the World Series with the Dodgers.
yeah, but the one thing I'll say that I like about baseball that's different than
I love Corey Seager. Man, he should be a Yankee.
Every
Go-
other
go
team?
ahead. Left-handed hitting shortstop, superstar,
and this is I mean,
330 hitter.
am I wrong when I say this? There's no more sport other than baseball that's more team oriented. Like, not one player can just switch the outcome of the team like that much. Because, let's be honest, Ronald Acuna level players in other sports, if they go down, their team's not winning a World Series. The Braves did this.
Yeah, and you look at another great example for that is the Angels. Mike Trout was the best player in baseball by a wide margin for like 6 or 7 years in a row,
They couldn't make the playoffs.
and they couldn't get in the playoffs.
Like that's why I love baseball so much, especially October baseball, because it's not just a one-man show. Even though you have these one-man performances that are like, whoa, but they're not like 100% the reason the team's winning. Like, there's other components. Like last year, Bryce Harper had one of the greatest postseason runs in Phillies history, and arguably MLB history, but I wouldn't put it up there because they didn't finish the job. But Aaron Nola had very good performances. Zach Wheeler was great in the postseason last year. You had Rhys Hoskins who had clutch moment after clutch moment. Schwarber had his occasional home runs. I mean, the team was giving you everything, and then Harper was just the poster boy that was making everything go. But let me get back to my predictions. I just think that Baltimore has a little more pieces to win their series. Even though they're young, I just think they have arguably the best catcher in baseball, which, out of every position, you can say catcher is one of the most important positions in baseball. I mean, it is debatable.
Did JT die? Is JT not playing?
Okay,
He's on your own team.
he is. I love JT Realmuto, but there's a difference, right?
Did he even play last night?
Yeah, I thought he did. I think he did.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Haven't watched any baseball. I watched a little bit of the Rays today. I just don't care. Yankees aren't in it. I don't care. I'll catch you in the World Series.
But
Games are meaningless to me.
so what's that mean? Baseball's been ending for you every year about what, October 14th?
The Yankees went to NLC or ALCS last year. got swept, but they went there.
You got to watch the game get swept.
I think that's true. But I just think Baltimore, I think they have a chance. Now, would I be shocked if Texas wins? Of course not.
Baltimore does have Aaron Hicks now, so.
Hey. He has some Yankees genes in him. Maybe he can just help him win a series. Now, that of course means if he brings some of the Yankee genes over, the Orioles will get to the next round, but they'll run into the Houston machine, and that will end the season. I think Houston. I think if Houston Baltimore plays, I think it might be a competitive series. Like maybe Baltimore jumps out early and they get up like 2-1, but then I think it's going to head into Houston. I just think it's going to get rough, and they're not going to be expecting the lights and the pressure of being on primetime baseball every night with the whole world watching and going, "Hey, we want you." And they have a bunch of 22, 23, 24-year-old kids out there. I mean, you're going against veterans who just won a World Series last year and have been to a World Series, 5 of the last 7 years?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. But I think the Houston wins it, and then I think they go play Atlanta in the World Series. Atlanta wins in 6 games, and the Braves are World Series champs.
Yeah, I just think the whole American League is really pretty weak.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, as a Yankee fan, it bothers me that they didn't really do anything this year, because to me the American League was wide open.
The only competitive team that I see right now is the Astros, and the only reason that I see them as competitive is because they've been in the World Series for the last 5-7 years, and they know what they're doing.
And even them, like 2 weeks ago, they weren't even guaranteed to make the playoffs.
Exactly.
So, like, this was wide open for the taking. It still is, honestly. Like, all these teams are really kind of close together, and the reason that I pick Houston is just because of the experience. Because they keep getting there. They've got Yordan Alvarez, who I have said for a long time is Big Papi reincarnate. Like, he is Big Papi. Yeah, well, I wouldn't say he never took steroids. Like, people these days are still taking steroids. If you don't think today's players are taking steroids, you're nuts. Like, they're still taking steroids. That's a whole nother conversation. But, like, they're taking steroids. NFL guys are on all kinds of juice. Basketball players are on juice. Like, everybody, professional athletes, when they look the way they do, they're taking steroids. It's the way it is. But I think what we also need to, like, take a second to think about, I know you would probably hate to acknowledge this, but Acuna just had an all-time season. Like, he had an incredible season. And I think people are, like, really... We live in a world of haters where people just don't like to give credit for things. Like, the whole season, everybody's like, oh, maybe Mookie's going to win the MVP. Oh, maybe Freeman's going to win the MVP. Those two both had incredible seasons, but they haven't done, like, I don't care what WAR says. Acuna has been insane.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell anybody this. Acuna is actually, like, outside of the Phillies, he's one of my favorite players to watch in baseball. Like, I don't know if the bigger bags have helped him at all.
Oh, yeah,
like,
for sure.
I mean, yeah, of course it's helped with the steals, but every time I watch him, he just flashes off my screen. I'm like, that's an MVP player.
What I don't like about him is he's a crybaby.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't even throw the ball inside, or he cries. So.
Most superstars are, especially in today's era with the social media. I mean, they've been coddled their whole life. I mean, that's in a certain environment, you're going to become.
Not my boy Aaron Judge.
There's only one Braves player.
Baseball's best player.
Is his name Albies? What's the dude on the Braves?
Albies.
I flipping hate that guy.
Why?
Because he's always hitting his bat to the catcher's head. I always want the catcher.
No, you're talking about Zuna.
Yeah, Zuna. There it
He
is.
also, like, beat his wife or... No, he had DUI.
I hate that guy.
Say if he had beat his wife,
Dude, it's
he'd been into
defamatory to just throw that out there for everybody.
I hate that guy.
No, he had like a really bad DUI, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's done. Like, get him out of here." I think he had like a PED suspension or something. Like, he's had a history of some issues.
Dude, but I always hate watching him play because it seems like almost every other game he's taking his bat swing and hitting the catcher in the back of the head, and then he goes, "Well, the catcher shouldn't be so close."
Sure,
Like,
back up.
but then I'm like, nobody else in the league has this issue. I mean, what's going on here?
He swings different.
Doesn't he stand like halfway out of the box, like his one foot's back way too far?
I don't even know. He sucks. Right? I hate that guy.
It's 30 homers, 100 RBIs, and say otherwise,
But
but
it's a bump.
whatever his numbers are, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know they're good.
He's carried. All right, so we're gonna get off from our MLB discussion list. There's anything else you guys want to add into it?
Go Phillies.
All right. Yeah, I second that. Go Phillies.
I'll say this. If Houston and the Orioles are in the ALCS, I will not watch a second of it. And I, like, really, like, what do I do there? Like, I don't want the Orioles to win anything.
All right, so if the Orioles win a World Series, which is like
I might move.
1 in a million.
I might move to Maine.
Can we get you to at least wear an Orioles cap?
No. I was gonna buy an Orioles hat one time.
What happened?
Because our manship colors were black and orange, and they always were. So I was gonna. We went to Spence's because they used to sell like cheap hats there, like fitteds but cheap. And so we were gonna buy a couple Orioles hats, me and Tommy, and then they didn't have them, so we were like, "Well, I'm not gonna spend actual money on one." So then I never got one. Just found a black Yankees hat instead.
That works.
All right,
Yeah.
that worked. All right, so next discussion, we're gonna get in. We're quarter through the year, which we're gonna do this every quarter. So that means 4 weeks from now, end of October, pretty much the end of every month.
Is it a quarter? There's 17 games in the season.
So it's pretty much a quarter. I mean, there's 17.
17 weeks.
So it's pretty much like, and right now we're about 4.5 weeks, which is really technically a quarter. So we're gonna do our MVP discussions, but how I want you guys to rank it is 3 to 1. So 1 being your guy who's your MVP, but 3 to like your top 3 candidates, but who's not like rank them.
Okay.
All right, Riley, you can start this.
My top 3 candidates.
Yep. And who number 1's like the guy you think should be the MVP at the quarter mark?
All right.
Daniel Jones.
I'll start.
I got something for that. That's coming later. I promise you.
I'm gonna throw an insane curveball here for number 3. I'm gonna go with Bijan Robinson as my MVP number 3 right now because I want to say, is single-handedly carrying the Falcons' offense. He is number 1 in rushing, obviously, but he's also number 2 in receiving. Which, I mean, you got 3 receivers on the field. How is your running back number 2? So
Quarterback sucks.
Desmond Ritter might be worse than
Also-
I mean, Daniel Jones and him are like right now, side and side. Like it's
I want to talk about the check down pass at some point today. Remind me, check down.
got you.
at number 2.
You just maybe think of it with the. Okay.
Daniel Jones. That's Captain Checkdown right there.
Yeah, I just hate what the check down does for young quarterbacks. Okay, go ahead. I think.
At number 2, I'm going to put Kirk Cousins, actually, because he is leading the league in yards right now. He's also leading the league in touchdowns. But he has 4 interceptions, which is not the lowest. So, I mean, but his completion percentage is there. It's not good, but it's not bad. Mm-hmm. And there's quarterbacks who are throwing better than him, but aren't throwing as many yards and as many touchdowns as he has right now. So that's why I'm putting him at number 2. And at number 1, I am going to put Tua, because Tua is just taking over the field for the Miami Dolphins. He's leading that offense incredibly, and it is showing.
All right. I don't mean to sound rude, but one guy out of those 3 will be in the discussion. That is Tua.
Yeah, no, I agree. I 100% agree.
Kirk and Bijan Robinson won't even make top.
That's
20.
why Tua is number 1 because he is
no. And the reason I say that, there is something that the NFL does that is different from MLB and the NBA. In order for you to win MVP or even be in the discussion, you have to be on a winning playoff team, and by winning playoff team, you have to be a 4 or higher seed. If
Kirk
you're
could
not,
get like top 10 consideration because I think he could have insane numbers by the end of the season.
but the media hates him. That's what's going to hurt him, and it's voted on by the media.
He just needs one more "you like that" moment. See if you can find that clip, throw it in there.
Oh, versus Tampa Bay, yeah, down 24-7, came back and won that game. You like that? I mean, that was an all-time moment.
The only reason that I put
Should've
those
kept him.
the only reason that I put those
You're right.
2 in there were more of like an honorable mention because obviously they're not. Bijan Robinson very obviously isn't going to be considered for MVP.
He's been phenomenal. I mean,
He has been, and that's why I threw him in there because his stats are ridiculous. And then Kirk Cousins also is leading the quarterbacks right now in their stats, but I don't think he will be considered when we get later on in the season.
all right.
All right, number 3. I'm going to say the best player in football. He's back, baby.
If he puts Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald. If you've been watching these Rams games, the reason that Raheem Morris's defense is phenomenal is because he's got the best player on the field in Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is back. He's not going to win. I know he's not going to win. I'm not wearing that.
We got a Conehead moment.
Were you going to say the same thing?
No, not
Okay.
a no. That, like, every time I said Carson Wentz was an all-time great quarterback, Aaron Donald an MVP. He's not even the defensive
Aaron
player in the
Donald's-
discussion.
Aaron Donald's the best, might be the best defensive football player.
I'm
ever.
sorry. I agree. I'm not saying that's, but I'm saying this year, out
year.
of defensive players,
Watch
Micah
where his
Parsons.
numbers end up.
Micah Parsons is ahead of him right now in the MVP discussion.
Did Micah Parsons even play when they got boat raced the other night?
He had a sack and a half versus Cardinals.
Who?
You mean when they boat raced the
Yeah,
Patriots?
Cardinals, yeah.
Yeah,
They lost to the
yeah,
Cardinals.
he had the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess if you say so.
He did. I
I didn't
promise
notice
you.
him. You know who I do notice? Aaron Donald. He's the only man on the Rams defensive line. No disrespect to Brian Young. He's playing for a young guy, but
They need a set.
once the Rams trade that first round pick for Brian Burns, or trade a mid round pick for Danielle Hunter, or however you say his name,
Danielle.
Danielle, or that seems too feminine for me, but I wouldn't say that to his face. Or maybe they'll sign Randy Gregory, who got cut today.
Oh, I meant to ask because I think that's probably what's going to happen. Because he's been, whenever he has a second partner or even a third partner, he's been a beast. And you guys could probably get him for somewhere like a 1 year, $5 million deal. I mean,
Maybe even less.
You know who else?
For the money for this year, you're not going to.
but there's also another team that I'm hearing, and this is probably the one I think where he's probably going to go.
Dallas.
Philly. I think Philly wants another defensive end option to give Hassan Reddick even more time to come back off of
I
form.
think the Rams have a number one option in Chandler Jones. He's out there in that free agency market, and he's waiting. He's waiting for the call.
Chandler Jones. I'm going to
If
say
the
this
Rams
now.
could add Chandler Jones and Randy Gregory, that locker room would be paradise. Why not sign Antonio Brown too?
Dude,
He's out there.
that's true. He is
You
out
get
there.
Cam Newton, he can
If
give us
there's
some outfits.
any coach that could probably handle those personalities, it is McVay.
Well, I think the only reason I think that they probably will not go get Randy Gregory is the reason they got rid of Cam Akers, and that's what they did. They got rid of him, is because he was a me, not we guy, and so I don't think that they're going to bring in somebody like Gregory, even though I think he would really help the team. I don't know if they're going to take that risk. So anyway, Aaron Donald's my number 3. Number 2, I'm going to say Tua.
All right.
He's been phenomenal, but his team is probably going to finish 12-5 or something like that. Like I don't think he's not going to have an all-time great season all the way through. And number 1 is my guy, the greatest quarterback to ever play this game,
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. He's out there with one receiver, and his only receiver is a tight end.
Oh, whoa.
And he's still out there getting it done.
He has the all-time greatest football player of all time. Taylor Swift. Do you not see the amount of times we're seeing her on the television screen?
She's
I
considered
love-
for the Hall of Fame at
I'm
this
getting
point.
tired
I
of
love T Swift,
Now,
but enough.
Enough. Agreed. And I'm going to say this. I get why the NFL is doing it. It's racking in money, and the Swifties are loving it. Like
What's going to happen
It
when
lost a lot of views actually, though, for the Monday night or Sunday night football game.
halfway through.
Yeah.
But
There's like 2 million less views than the Bears game.
What I'm wondering is what's going to happen when, and I'm not saying it's gonna, but what's going to happen if they break up, or
Not saying it's gonna. Of course, it's gonna happen.
or the
gonna be a song.
NFL just kind of stops showing her and kind of like gives the fans what they want and start to drift her out of like showing her as much and keeping her in the bios and all that stuff. The Swifties are going to be like, oh well, now there's nothing to watch.
True, it's a fad.
No, yeah, it's a fad. But the Eagles have already predicted this. They've already shown the script. You got Kelsey, Hurts, Swift. I mean,
That's true.
they're predicting.
Also, they apparently there's a theory that they've been dating for like a year because it got brought up on the Kelsey podcast
back
once.
in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. So you have Mahomes winning MVP. All right. So number 3, I have Tua. His numbers look phenomenal, but the reason he's at 3 right now is you could make the case that another top 5 MVP candidate is on his team in Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's also been phenomenal. And I really want to see Tua versus top tier defenses because he's only played like 1 or 2. And both times the Patriots, he's played 2 Patriots and the Bills. That offense has really come down the size. Like, it's not been this explosive beast that it's looked. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Zach Wilson's a goat, man. Milf Hunter, getting that jersey, by the way. But all right, he's completing 71% of his passes. He's already thrown for 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, only 3 picks, and has a QBR of 79. It's a 0 to 100 scale. I mean, 79 is really the elite of the elite, and he's only been sacked 5 times. And I know that's usually an offensive line stat, but what's been phenomenal about Tua this year is he's the quickest quarterback to get the ball out of his hands. Like, there's nobody getting it out faster than him, but there's also nobody in the league throwing it deeper than him, which means one of 2 things. One, his receivers are getting open faster than anybody, which is true, but also he's recognizing coverages faster than anybody, which everybody wants to say he's a scheme product, and this is where I differ on that. Brock Purdy is the scheme product there because even though he has numbers that look great, when you watch him, and especially these last couple weeks, you probably know this as a Rams fan, there's starting to be some kinks in that armor.
It almost seems like if he plays a team that has a defense ready for their scheme, that he differs, which would make him the scheme child. Like that, it's starting to prove that he's a scheme child.
I mean, they're not going to go undefeated.
No.
There's no way.
And then Tua, and the reason I have Tua number 3 is my number 2 guy. We watched him on Sunday. I told you the Bills would win this game. And if you take out that Jets game, Josh Allen has only had 1 turnover, and he's had 9 touchdowns. I mean, he's been absolutely phenomenal. And if you take, he's completed 77% of his passes. He's not running as much. And remember that 0 to 100 scale? If you take out the Jets game, his QBR this season is 86. That's phenomenal. And he has a run game that's helping him out. But
He's in the Herbert tier. Good but not great player.
But here's what's scary about him this year is he's starting to toe that line of aggression, but not going over the line of stupid mistakes. Like week 1, he had that. And I will say this, Robert Saleh's always had a great game plan for him, but he's looked phenomenal these last 3 weeks. I mean, he's actually had more incompletions than he's had touchdowns. I mean, he's had more touchdowns than he's had incompletions these last 2 weeks, which has been absolutely phenomenal. He's been very conservative, though. Like, he's hitting the passes, but not a lot of turnovers. So then my number 1, and I know this is usually a quarterback award, but this year, especially if you're a Rams fan, you've seen him, CMC has to be the MVP through 3 weeks. I mean, right now, he's on pace to get 2,500 yards this season.
But you also got to remember, he's still carrying 5 yards per carry. That's his average right now, is 5 yards per carry. Even though he's still on track for that much, it's like he's running the ball way more than any other running back, which would lead to him getting more yards in return.
He's not running the ball more than no.
He has like 25 to 30 more carries.
I think I could run for 1,000 yards on the 49ers.
You're right, 1,000. But I said so he has more touches than anybody, which is true. But like attempts per game, he's actually, I want to say he was 5th, which is a lot, but it's not the number 1.
You know he doesn't lead in touchdowns. You know why? Kyren Williams.
I mean, he's on pace for 30. I mean, total touchdowns. He's on pace to win. He's on pace to have 30 touchdowns total. That's a lot, and he's already broke Jerry Rice's record, most consecutive games with a touchdown by a 49ers player.
Kyron's on pace for like 34.
But Kyren won't get those numbers because Adam Gase over there doesn't want to give him the ball.
I think Kyron's going to end up with a lot of touchdowns.
I mean, it's true. I think he will.
Unless they trade for a running back, which I honestly am in the camp.
I meant to say this last week. You know who he's starting to kind of remind me of?
LaDainian Tomlinson.
No. Like his build.
Marshall Faulk.
No, like his build wise. Like his build.
Jim Brown.
I'm not saying player wise, but the way he's built. I don't remember C.J. Anderson. Like he's kind of built like a small but wrecking ball looking player.
C.J. Anderson was kind of like bigger, like
a little. But I'm saying the
thicker.
way, like he's short but stocky. Like he's.
I don't know. I don't really think Kyron's that stocky.
I think he's kind of.
I think he's kind of like an average thickness.
Okay, we're gonna get off this. This took a weird turn.
That's insane.
Anyway, CMC. Tenderize that meat. All right, so.
Whoa. That just went so far.
All right, so third conversation we're gonna have. This is our third to last topic. Can we just go ahead? Is it time Giants tank for Caleb Williams?
No. The Giants just stink everywhere. I think what it's time for is the Giants to fire Dabo, fire the GM, start over from scratch. And I just remember the Giants fans were like dunking after the preseason, talking about what an incredible offseason they had, all the guys that they had added. I was making fun of it. Someone defended it. Someone at this table defended it.
Somebody defended it till week 2.
And that's why I picked the stupid Giants to win week 1. It messed me up even though I knew they were going to stink. Danny Penny's over there.
That's even giving him too much.
Dude that team stinks. But I wouldn't really say I would tank for Caleb Williams because like they've got a lot that they need. And they've drafted offensive linemen high. And they still stink.
To me, that's why I kind of think it's a coaching issue. Like the offensive line, yes, talent is needed. But if you have the right offensive line coach, that offensive line will produce no matter what because he knows how to put the players in the right situations. The Eagles know this. Jeff Stoutland is arguably one of the greatest offensive line coaches in NFL history. I don't care who's back there. That offensive line is going to protect. Even the year they gave up a bunch of sacks, it wasn't because they were doing horrible. It's because Carson Wentz holds the ball longer than anybody I've ever seen in my life. So
it's a careful quarterback.
Let's be honest here. I mean, the Giants haven't been great, but Riley, do you think they should tank for Caleb Williams?
I don't think they should. For the same reasons that, I don't think they should because, one, Caleb Williams I think it was his dad that came out with this saying that Caleb has decided that he can make more money going back to USC, and he gave a list of 5 teams, but the Giants were on that list.
Yep.
The issue is the Giants look abysmal, and does Caleb Williams want to be behind that offensive line now?
No. You know why he wants to go to New York. What's in New York? It's one of the 4 big cities in America. He goes to New York, he's going to get more sponsors. If he wins in New York, that's even more sponsors. If New York already had 6 primetime games this year with Daniel Jones at quarterback.
It's true.
If Caleb Williams is a Giant next year, I don't care if they finish this season 1-16. They're getting at minimum 6 primetime games next year.
That's true. I mean, it's just I don't think they should. I mean, to be fair, right now it doesn't look like they're going to have to tank. They can just play their normal football and they'll go ahead and get the first pick anyway.
No, the Bears are going to pick first and second.
Oh, that's right. They got.
Yeah.
Their quarterback's been sacked 17 times, by the way. I saw that today when I was looking at stats.
Fields?
Yeah, Fields. He's been sacked 17 times, which the next guy has been sacked 6.
I wonder how many of those are he starts to run but too late and he gets tackled at the 1. I don't know. 1 yard behind the line.
We'll talk about Fields later because I have a couple things I want to put on that because that's one of the.
Yeah, he's going to look great in LA.
I just don't. I just don't think it's a good idea for them to do it. I mean, you're in a competitive division, which is fair, so they don't really have much of a chance to go for playoffs. But also, it would just be embarrassing to be the big team the big New York team, just all of a sudden stopping and just we don't want to win anymore, and then just pulling all your players. And your players need development. It's very obvious that they need development to see how the football field is.
And to be fair to the Giants, they have had an incredibly difficult schedule to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have not had an easy schedule, but they also haven't showed up. So,
which is why, this might get off a little bit because I've had some support for these guys, so I'm going to tear into them real fast because these are the numbers I went through. This took me about 10 minutes to do. I wanted to see how the Giants' numbers looked if you took out that second half versus the Cardinals because that clearly looks like a difference. Not an actual moment that happened. So if you take out the second half, the Giants have been outscored 114-15. They've almost given up 100 more points than they've scored. And the defense, if you watch that Monday night game, you can even see, the defense is not the reason they're losing these games. That offense is abysmal. Right now, Daniel Jones, he's completing 66% of his passes. He's thrown 110 times. But he's only got 500 yards. What's that tell me? He's checking the ball down every time, which he is. He's not taking the deep shots. They're there. And I know what some Giants fans will come out and say. His offensive line's horrible. You know who else has a horrible offensive line? C.J. Stroud. He didn't have Laremy Tunsil. He didn't have Titus Howard. He didn't have his left guard, right guard, or even a starting. He had all backups. He's out there 4th in the league in yards. He's out there dominant. He hasn't even thrown a pick. C.J. Stroud has looked phenomenal. And I'll say it, usually I'm really tough on Ohio State quarterbacks. He's the first guy I've ever watched come out of Ohio State. I'm watching him in these games. I'm going, holy cow, he can throw a pigskin. I mean, he looks phenomenal.
And he's got a lot of good but not great receivers. Woods is good, but he's on the back 9 of his career. What's his name is basically a rookie this year.
John Mitchell.
And then
Nico Collins. He looked phenomenal.
So those guys are good but not great. So the weapons are kind of comparable. If you're looking at the Texans and the Giants.
And then you can say this as well. Daniel Jones, people want to give him excuses. I'm not through for that. You took the money. You wanted $160 million. Hey, maybe your team shouldn't be winning these games. But they darn as well shouldn't be getting outscored by almost 100 points. You took $100 million. You make up for those mistakes.
It's okay. In 2 years, that'll look like a pay cut. So.
But the Giants did set it up right because they can get out of it next year. They can get out of that contract next year for only a $22 million dead cap and save $20 million.
I think they just really need a healthy Saquon.
Yeah.
They don't have one.
And then, and this is also what's crazy. Their third down, they're not doing horrible. They're completing 47% on third down, which it's right around average. Time possession, they're actually possessing the ball about 30 minutes of a game, which is top tier. Problem is they can't put the ball in the end zone. They've only scored 1 touchdown in 14 quarters if you take out that halftime. 1. That's the Dolphins put up more touchdowns in 1 quarter and to start the season off than these bozos did in the whole season. But the biggest reason they're losing games isn't because of offense, isn't because of defense. And this is what people need to understand more than anything. Special teams can win you and cost you games just as easily as the other three. Their special teams are the worst in the league. They had 4 penalties on Monday night. I counted out I predicted 3 before it even happened. It's abysmal. What are you doing? Dude, learn how to coach some special teams. It ain't hard. They've been horrible.
The worst one, I think, was that one where it's like right before the end of the first half, and they were about to get the ball with like 40 seconds left, and I think I don't remember. There's maybe a timeout. I don't remember. But they punted the ball to the Giants, and the Giants guy ran into the punter.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
And here's the other thing. Like,
what do you think is going to happen there? Because this guy's standing still punting the ball. Like, he's not moving towards you at this point. Like, dive for it. Like, do what guys always do. What were you trying to do? Tackle him? Like, think you were going to get there before you could kick it? Like,
it's idiotic. And then you have, this is the guy I wanted to talk about the most. Brian Daboll. I was told all offseason, all of last year, he's coach of the year. He's an elite offensive mind. Where? How?
Drives a nice truck.
Can I ask you a question? If the league could tell last year, oh, he does bootlegs, and they caught on at the end of last year, and then this year you start out and you're doing these bootlegs, and the league's caught on, what should you do? Not run bootlegs or set it up a different way. Daniel Jones has been blasted 7 times this year trying to attempt a bootleg. It's been abysmal. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're doing. And this is what else has been irritating. Saquon's been out. Yeah, your run game might not be as well. But guess what? You should still run the ball. If you become one-dimensional with backup offensive linemen in and let pass rushers pin their ears back, I don't care who you are. They made these Seattle Seahawks look like the 86 Giants. I mean, they had 11 sacks. That's abysmal. Like, what are you doing? I mean, what is this?
I don't think they even touched Matt Stafford.
That's what I'm saying. You know why? Because Sean McVay is an elite offensive mind. And to answer the question, should the Giants tank for Caleb Williams? Yes. The reason I say that, if Caleb Williams is the prospect that I've been promised he is, which I think he'll be good, I still believe I would take Shedeur Sanders in the next level. But that's just me personally. But if you think he can be this elite potential guy, which everybody's saying he's better than Pat Mahomes already is, which I think's ridiculous.
Better than Mahomes was at this stage.
Yeah, at this stage. I still think's ridiculous. And Mahomes at least went into an Andy Reid system. How would Pat Mahomes look if he was drafted anywhere else?
He got to sit a full season too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
which is another point I want to bring up. Everybody's like, oh, we got to draft a rookie quarterback. Play him now. No. Most of these great quarterbacks we see today, most of them have rest of the year. Rodgers didn't play at first. Mahomes didn't play at first. Goff didn't start off his career by playing. I mean, a lot of your all-time great quarterbacks didn't play their first season.
To me, there's only really 2 guys in the elite tier: Rodgers and Mahomes. The only other one that I'd put up there is Burrow.
But he's not showing. And that's
He's not showing it right now.
Yeah,
And that's another thing I want to bring up before we move on is
and he also played like 15 years of college too, though. Like, he came out.
Zach Taylor better change something because he's starting to lose that locker room and he's starting to lose support of the fans. And if I'm the Bengals, one of the things that I'm thinking about doing is firing Zach Taylor. And the person I'd bring in, and I know this might sound like a homer, I think Eric Bieniemy would be the perfect coach for Cincinnati. Brings from Kansas City over to Cincinnati. I mean, I also think Eric Bieniemy would be a great head coach. I'm right now as a Commanders fan, I'm like, I want Eric Bieniemy. Like, our best unit is right now is offense. Ron Rivera is a defensive guy. We can't stop a nosebleed. And that leads me to my next thing. We're doing game predictions. So the first game we're going to predict is Bears at Commanders. Now,
Okay. You just wanted us to say that your Commanders are going to win.
it's Thursday night. No. I've been doing this the whole season.
Oh, Thursday night
Okay,
football,
it was
disgusting.
Yeah,
I hate Thursday night football.
I agree. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is I also wanted to get into my Justin Fields discussion because, Justin Fields looked great versus a horrible Broncos defense.
Yeah, he didn't have Chase Claypool though.
Probably the best receiver in the league right now.
All right, but
What's annoying though is like Claypool is good.
he's good. He hasn't been
Like,
good.
how is he not like? I don't know.
It's because he's not been used properly.
You know why? Because Chicago hired a defensive head coach when they shouldn't have.
But then Matt Eberflus, your defensive head coach, and I remember saying this when we were doing the podcast, just
From a
the two-man
mediocre
podcast.
Indianapolis
Defensive coordinator. I told you, I said that was a stupid hire, and I said you want to always want to tell how a coach is going to do in his next job, see how the fan base before him liked him. When Eberflus left Indianapolis, everybody in Indy said, yes, let's go. Why? Because the dude played a stupid defensive scheme, which you're now seeing in Chicago. If a Roquan Smith doesn't fit your scheme as a play caller, something's wrong with your scheme.
If you're arguably, if your best player that is on that defensive on your field, if they don't fit your scheme, like if your scheme isn't around your best players, that's a wrong scheme. You need to fix it.
And here's the other thing. I mean, ready? This is I went through and I did all these numbers. So you want to know how many sacks the Bears have gotten on opposing quarterbacks this season? Just take a wild guess. Two.
Not impressive.
That's ridiculous. And his scheme is precedented on, hey, we're going to play Tampa 2, which is pretty much just a cover 2 defense. Linebackers play their coverage. Shell high safety. We're not giving up the deep shot, but we need our front four to get there. They're not getting home because in the NFL, if you just send 4 the whole time, unless you have 4 first-round picks or 4 phenomenal players or an all-time great defensive tackle, you're not getting home on quarterback every time, especially the way they're playing. And they don't have good corners. But Justin Fields, this is what irritates me about him. He's one of these front-runner quarterbacks. When he has the lead, he plays phenomenal. Once one thing goes wrong, he gets in his head, he shuts down. The Bears were winning that game 28-7. Once the Broncos gave a little resistance, Justin Fields went right back to the player he's been all year. Hesitant to throw the ball, not making quick decisions. Justin Fields doesn't have it. In quarterbacks, you have to be able to lead your team to victories, even if your head coach isn't the greatest. You got to be able to. I mean, look at Tom Brady last year, 45-year-old man. I know it's unfair to compare Tom Brady to Justin Fields, but talent-wise, we can all agree. Hey, Justin Fields has more talent than Tom Brady ever did, right? And who's a bum quarterback? Early Cam Newton, ready? When Ron Rivera was still really bad as a head coach early on, there were games Cam Newton carried them to victories that they should not have won. Justin Fields. This is what they all want to say, oh, he's Lamar Jackson, he's this, he's that. Even Lamar Jackson looks like an elite passer of the football compared to Justin Fields. It's ridiculous. And then he's gotten sacked 17 times. I've went through and I've watched all 4 of their games. You know how many sacks that offensive line's probably responsible for? 3.
You know what, honestly, Fields kind of reminds me of is like the Jeff Fisher, Jared Goff. Like, he's with a coach that's not helping him be better. And, like, to me, like, I don't blame... Like, the story on Justin Fields won't be written until he gets out of Chicago. Like, his next stop, he's going to get out. He's going to be out of there within
where he's going.
3 years.
No, he'll be out of there this offseason.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the team that wants him?
I don't like Atlanta for him, but that's just my opinion of for him. Because I don't really believe in what they got going on down there.
Can you please throw Arthur Smith the ball? I mean, Kyle Pitts the ball.
Yeah, that's it for me. Like I don't know if I really like that for him, but maybe the reason that they're like doing that is because Ritter just stinks. But I mean, I'd love for him to end up in a situation where he gets to like be behind a brittle Matthew Stafford, or like behind a Brock Purdy. Or, like, you know, get him somewhere where he can sit behind somebody for a little bit where he's going to play, like, you know, not be gone forever.
That's actually
like, don't go back up Kansas City.
What if he... No. Now, tell me if this is... What if he backs up Lamar? Like, Lamar has an injury history. Yeah. Like, sign him to a 2-year deal. Let him
play at least 4 games a year.
Yes, but let him learn behind Lamar Jackson. See how his playing style can play. But here's the thing that people get wrong about Justin Fields. Everyone wants to say he's a run-first quarterback. Even in college and even in this year, you can say he doesn't want to run it first. But it's the only thing he's comfortable with because this offense doesn't fit him. This Bears offensive coordinator, Luke Getsky, is trying to call a Aaron Rodgers level West Coast system, which is a quarterback. I need you to make these elite throws. Justin Fields is not making these tight window throws. He doesn't want to, and he's not really capable. I mean, he's capable, but
he's not trained to. Yeah, he doesn't do it.
Early quarterbacks don't see NFL defenses as well as the elite guys, and some coordinators don't understand that. What do you think is going to happen Thursday night when Justin Fields has been sacked 17 times and he's going against the defense that has the 8th most sacks in the league?
It's going to be rough.
He's going to get sacked some more.
It's going to be rough.
It's going to be rough. I mean, and I'll say this as a Commanders fan, I can say it. More than likely, we're going to disappoint. Like, it's going to be a close game. I'm really hoping I'm wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like,
You're also
I'm hoping
the Commanders are going to blow them out.
you guys are coming off of a really good game against the Eagles, like playing against the Eagles, so I don't see them like sticking with it. You know.
There's also off of a really bad game against the Bills.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is why this also brings me to my point of saying how. When we look back at the end of the season, we're going to look back at week 3 and go, oh, he just played Buffalo. He ran into a buzzsaw. Because the first 3 out of the 4 games, he's looked like a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. Like, he's looked really good. And I told you guys last week, if the Eagles win, it's going to be close. And I thought they would win. And I said, hey, the way the Commanders are going to play, we're going to take that run away, which we slowed it down. We didn't take it completely away, but we were going to make Jalen Hurts beat us. And to his credit, Hurts beat us. Fields is not capable of beating us the way Hurts did.
not in this system.
Not in this system.
At this time.
I was going to bring up the same point as Caleb. I wonder what Justin Fields could do with a coach that wants to put his time into progressing his quarterback, because it's very obvious that they don't want to.
The coach that the Bears should have tried hiring was Shane Steichen, the guy that ended up going to the Colts, because what he's doing with Anthony Richardson, you couldn't tell me he couldn't have done that with Justin Fields.
Yeah, he definitely could have.
Like, he could have made Justin Fields look better. The only thing that I'm kind of scared of with Justin Fields is when a young quarterback loses confidence, it is very rare that he gets that confidence back later on in his career.
Jared Goff's got it.
Carson Wentz doesn't.
Carson Wentz hadn't had it since that injury. He had an injury.
Carson Wentz needs to be a Ram. I'm telling you.
I'm praying for
Right.
him every night. I pray. But so I'm going to have the Commanders winning this game. I know I said I actually do think we beat them pretty handily. I just don't trust Matt Eberflus. And it's already been said if the Bears lose, they're firing Matt Eberflus. I think we win 24-10. Commanders 24-10 on the Bears. Because last year the game was played, Commanders won 12-7 in Chicago. Sold out crowd in Commander Land. First time it's been a primetime sold out game in over 12 years. I mean, that place is going to be bouncing.
Where is this one's game?
Washington.
You said that if the Bears lose, they're firing Eberflus?
Yeah.
All right, I'm taking the Commanders to win 98-0 just because I want Eberflus out of there and I want to see Chicago actually be a team. Realistically, I think it'll be...
I think they should have hired Alan Williams to be their head
They
coach.
haven't been any good since Lovie Smith.
Realistically, I think it'll be like 24-10 Commanders win. So...
I think Commanders are going to win 20-17.
Congratulations, Chicago. Made Eberflus, your job is safe. We'll see you next week. Anyway, next game, Jaguars at Bills. Bills are 5.5 favorites. But even though it sounds like it's a Bills home game, which it says it is on paper, the game is actually being played in London. And I know.
Stop going over there, NFL.
Yeah. But when we look at this is why I'm really impressed with the Bills. They've been a top 5 offense pretty much. They're number 6, but they're tied with number 5. 7th ranked pass offense, 8th ranked rush defense. They're second in the league in scoring offense. And even with the Jets game included, they're the 3rd best turnover differential team, +6. That means they've been getting a lot of turnovers. And yes, playing Sam Howell definitely helped you. Like, that's 4 turnovers right there. But the guy that's been killer for the Bills, who should still be a Ram, has been Leonard Floyd. He has 3.5 sacks through 4 weeks. He's looked amazing. And this Bills team, can you imagine how good they're going to look when they get Von Miller back? Which might not be this weekend, but it's coming.
I also want to know what Von Miller they're getting back to.
That's true.
He's had some serious issues.
But also, to be fair, he doesn't have to come in and carry the defensive line like he did last season. So I mean,
Leonard Floyd goes to sleep though. Like Leonard Floyd would have like a 3-sack game, and then like you wouldn't even hear his name called in the next 3 broadcasts.
That's what's been weird though this year. You could hear his name being called almost every single game this year. Like he's been getting pressures, if not a sack, almost every
Floyd
game.
and Miller play together?
Yes, yeah, they were there.
So in that case, they have some of the defensive line chemistry.
But when Miller comes back, Floyd's not going to be a starter. He's going to be a rotational piece because they have what's the guy, Greg Rosalu?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
It really upsets me that Leonard Floyd should still be a Ram. Like they didn't even save any money releasing him.
And then this is also something that, but as great as this Bills defense has been, and the offense and their defense has been, the Jaguars, even though their offense has been disappointing this year, Their defense has actually been really good. They have the 9th ranked scoring the 12th ranked scoring defense, 9th ranked rush defense. The Bills are going to have to throw the ball on the Jaguars defense. They've had the 23rd most sacks, only 9. Bills actually are number 1 in sacks. They've had 16 this year. But the thing, I'm actually going to take the Jaguars to win this game. And the reason I say that is,
You love Trevor Lawrence.
no, they played in London last week. They didn't have to leave. And familiarity really helps. And they were able to stay in this London time zone for 2 weeks. Buffalo's coming over. And there's 3 things that travel in the NFL. Defense, special teams, and coaching. Offense usually doesn't travel all that well, especially on a 9-hour flight. Unless you're doing exercises on the plane on the way to London. Russell Wilson, thank you for that, Mr. Unlimited. But sorry. But I think this game's actually going to be really defensive. Last time Josh Allen went against the defense coordinator Mike Caldwell of the Jaguars was when Caldwell was in Tampa Bay. He put up 27 points on him. I mean, it looked really good. But they still lost the game. But I don't think Tom Brady's on the sideline, but it's also not in the United States. And this is a key stat right here. If Josh Allen turns the ball over 2 or more times, they're 9-13 in those games. When Josh Allen turns the ball over 1 or less time in his career, he's 46-12. I mean, that's phenomenal. But I think I'm going to take the Jaguars winning this game 17-14. I think it's going to be a boring but kind of fun game at the same time on Sunday morning.
I'm gonna agree with every single point that you just made, except I'm gonna go with the Bills to win, just because they're both competitive teams, but the Bills have to come to London, but really I just don't like agreeing with you after the Giants got dismantled in Week 1.
True.
So
Whatever Christian says, just think the opposite.
I think it's gonna be like, I don't want to say similar to the Falcons game because the Bills are way better than the Falcons ever will be. So I think it'll be like 27-21 with a missed field goal in there somewhere. But the Bills are going to win, I think.
38-24. Bills are going to boat race them.
All right. Now I'm going to let you two start this next one because I know these two
Okay.
are your teams. We got Eagles-Rams coming up this Sunday. And as much as I wish I could get you two in the same room to watch this game, I know it's impossible because you have night.
It's a weird way to say
That
it.
is a weird way to put it.
Same place. I wish I could get you guys in the same area just to watch this
Still
game.
weird. Still weird.
Because last time we were all in last time we all watched the game together was the Eagles Super Bowl.
And it wasn't even the Rams.
Caleb, I think we can both second on this. Nothing was funnier than watching the Eagles lose and seeing Ezra and Riley get up and rage and say, "That wasn't holding. This is bullcrap."
It was very obviously not.
James Bradbury said it wasn't holding.
Yeah, James Bradbury's forehead goes to the back of his head.
The
So.
funny part was when Riley was dunking early in the game when all of us were saying that Hurts can't throw the deep ball, and then he threw like a 20-yard Hail Mary.
I think you could have threw a Hail Mary farther than
I
that.
don't know. I can't throw the ball that far. So.
Oh,
Hey, man. All
That's
I'm
an
saying...
elite quarterback.
okay. Go ahead and give us your pick first, Riley, because
Listen, all I'm saying is the last time that Jalen Hurts was on Caleb's TV was probably that Super Bowl. So I think he's looking for some redemption on throwing the deep ball. Also, he did throw the ball pretty well against the Commanders, which I don't know how much it's saying, but you know.
Oh, I should also preference this. It sounds like Cooper Kupp is probably going to play on Sunday.
Also, I did just read that Jonathan Taylor practiced today, which was kind of good. So
I should have drafted him.
back to the game. I think that this one's going to be a very close game because both defenses are, I want to say, they're strong suits, at least as of right now. The Rams' offense, you don't think so?
Not the Eagles. Eagles have the right. This. I'll get into it whenever.
Sorry, I guess I should put it more like this. I think their defensive lines are kind of very similar when it comes to like skill. Aaron Donald, but like you got Aaron Donald on the Rams, and then you got a bunch of rookies on the Eagles. It comes into an average.
You got Aaron Donald, then a bunch of bums, and you got just a bunch of studs all up and down.
Studs.
First rounders.
No. This is what Raheem Morris is probably the best defensive coordinator.
Was
of the league.
Brandon Graham a first rounder?
Yes.
Was he? It was a while ago. I don't think
Yeah,
I was.
20
I don't know.
Eagle fans hated him for a while.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I do know that they
that's
hated him.
because-
Oh, wait, he's good.
That's because when he was drafted into a 3-4 system where you guys try making him an outside linebacker. Like it was never gonna
Bro,
work.
listen.
Okay.
Hang on. Let's just take a second. Back then, when he was drafted, you were an Eagles fan.
2011, I wasn't an Eagles fan. I didn't become an Eagles fan until 2012. They were 4-12 that year.
Anyway,
I think this will be a very close.
close game. Whether it's low scoring or high scoring, I think it's going to be close. But I'm going to go right in the middle, and I'm going to say like 28-24 or 27-24. But I'm going to go with the Rams to win it, 27-24.
See, this is why I wanted you to pick first, because I'm going to pick the Eagles to win. And it's just because, like, I just don't trust Sean McVay to do the right thing. I know that if the Rams are running the ball, then the Rams are going to have a really good chance to win. Are they going to even be able to run the ball against the Eagles? I don't know. They got some big boys on that defensive line. So what I think might happen, what I'm worried about, he's going to try to run early. It's not going to do that well. And then they're going to abandon it and just throw shotguns and get sacked all day.
Well,
That sounds the most realistic.
the thing I'll say is, and this is why I think this game is going to be very close, is the Rams' strength this season has been throwing the football. They have the second-ranked pass offense in football, which Stafford's been phenomenal, and the Eagles have the 26th-ranked pass defense. And we saw Sam Howell was shredding them to pieces. And that's with Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. If Matthew Stafford gets Cooper Kupp back,
That's true.
Big deal.
How do you think he's going to do with Cooper Kupp? I would say Cooper Kupp and Puka, but what I want to see is how does Stafford perform if he has both of them on the same field? Are they both going to get equal targets, or is Kupp going to go back to being number one primarily, and Puka going to be going off into the limelight? The other thing I want to bring up is the way I see this game playing out. I think it's going to be a close game throughout the game. But one thing that's been kind of concerning with Matthew Stafford this year has been his turnovers. Right now, the Rams have the
Half of them haven't been his fault.
24th best turnover differential, -3. I mean, it's not real, and I know some of them have.
Two of them hit Kyron Williams in the hands.
I hate. They need to add like an extra stat on there: interceptions that are quarterback's fault, interceptions that aren't quarterback fault, just so it could help even out and really show you what's going on. I'll tell you what, the thing that's really impressive right now with this Rams defense is it's a bunch of no names. Like, you have Aaron Donald, who has 2.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. Like, he's been phenomenal. But the leading tackler, Ernest Jones, he's looked good. He's had 1 sack and 5 tackles for loss, 38 tackles. I mean, it's great. Leading cornerback right now is Witherspoon. I would try pronouncing the dude's first name.
Akello.
Okello? Oh, that's actually not too hard. But he leads their team in interceptions with 1 and 2 pass deflections. They have the 9th-ranked defense, 7th-ranked pass defense, and the 14th-ranked rush defense. And that's the other reason I think the Eagles win this game is the Rams haven't been so great against the run. Like, they're top 16, but I don't think they're going to be able to. Like, the Eagles are going to be able to triple team Aaron Donald, just run.
You know what this Rams defense kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of the Bengals defense when they played them in like the Super Bowl, like that year, where the Bengals had one name that was really kind of known, and the rest of them were also like kind of like they weren't star players, but they're not bad players. They all kind of just blended together really well. You know what I mean?
Jesse Bates, All-Pro. Trey Hendrickson, All-Pro.
Yeah, but those aren't really like household names, though. Like,
well,
if you're a football fan, yeah, but like if you're just somebody that casually watches your team play, you don't know who Trey Hendrickson is.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about.
I remember an ESPN analyst, I remember this vividly, said that the Bengals were dumb for letting Lawson go and picking up Hendrickson.
Who even said that?
Damian Woody.
Oh, that sounds like that dude's an idiot. That dude's an idiot.
He's like, I get that, like, they're probably comparable players, but like, why would you get rid of somebody that has proven that he's good? Well, because one's like 7 years younger than the other one, entering his prime, while the other one immediately went and, like, tore his Achilles or something when he got to the Jets.
I don't even think he's in the league anymore.
Anyway,
No, I don't think so either.
And but this is what's really I'm really interested to see is if the run's not working versus the Eagles. So they have the 2nd-ranked rush defense, which is then their strong suit. They haven't been great versus anything else, but I mean, even the strong suit last year, the Eagles defense getting sacks. I mean, they've got the 17th most right now in the league, which is 11. And the weird thing with Jalen Hurts this year is, even with this elite offensive line he's been sacked the 8th most times in the league. I mean, it's like he's getting sacked a lot. And the reason is he's holding on to this ball a little longer. Maybe it's because of Brian Johnson. But I don't think the Rams are going to be able to get that great of pressure on him. I think Aaron Donald will have moments. Like, he'll have moments. The way the Eagles win this game is just don't turn the ball over. If you play conservative football, win the turnover battle, you're going to win this game. The Rams have to win this game by winning the turnover battle. Like, they can't stay even with them.
Yep.
They have to force a couple turnovers.
well,
they
could win the game by staying even with them if it's 0-0.
And then this is also going to let me get into your.
But if the Rams start turning the ball over, they're done.
And now let me say this before I let you go into your quick pass thing, because I'm going to bring that up. The Rams need to implement a quick, like, you can have a run game work in the league without actually running the ball. If you get a quick pass game going, just get the ball, hike, snap. It's an add-on to the run game. And Caleb, I remember you wanted to say something about the.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than watching a young player check the ball down, because like I feel like it just becomes a crutch. Like when you're watching Zach Wilson out there struggling and Desmond Ridder and like a lot of these young players, like I almost think that some of these offensive coordinators need to push these guys to throw the ball downfield. Like have it be some kind of like almost like a punishment to check this thing down. Like, because you got guys open downfield, but you're afraid to step it. No, make that throw. If you throw one pick because you're like daring to throw it, fine.
Well, that's been with Zach Wilson. Nathaniel Hackett, he finally did it in Game 4. He finally opened them up. But most of his career, Wilson was told, hey, check that thing down at all costs. Don't force the ball. And you could tell it was weighing on him. He was like, do these guys not trust me? And then Sunday night, the Jets said, dude, this is your last chance. You go out there and show either you're the second overall pick or you're a bum. And he went out there, and yeah, everybody's going to be like, is it just the Chiefs' defense? No, he was making some tight window throws. Like some of those back shoulder throws, those are top 5 level quarterback throws. Like, you know how hard it is to place a ball 35 yards down the field and put it exactly where you need that ball? And, you know, that bum right now in NBC, what's his name? Rodney Harrison? Yeah, out here saying, he was trying to get a soundbite out of Chris Jones saying, oh, Zach Wilson's a bum, Zach Wilson's a bum. And I'm not saying, like, oh, you shouldn't be harsh on players. Yes, I'm not, but you shouldn't go out of your way to go against a player that's almost 40 years younger than you.
You know what it also seems like?
Stop being soft.
Well, I kind of agree with it because I watched the interview and it was even Chris Jones was even defending him at that point.
Like if you do it like nonchalantly,
Yeah,
but
if you
he
say
like
it once, but he just kept saying. And my thing is like a
he said
reporter,
it like 12 times.
reporters are very obviously biased.
He's not a reporter though. He's a player.
He's paid to be a reporter.
He was a player that was a stud defender, and he realizes that the quarterback stinks.
No.
That's his opinion.
I'm just saying
He's paid to have an opinion. He
was-
gave his
Yeah,
opinion.
you can give
Quit
your
crying
opinion
about
he
it.
once
was
or
not a
twice,
great
but
player.
not 12
he
to
was
13
He's in the
times.
category of MBB,
He was a
made by Belichick.
no. He's actually a Hall of Very Good player. Like he's very good. He's like a borderline Hall of Famer.
Hall
Never
of
make a
very
Hall of Fame.
average. Hey,
Where
All right,
Justin Herbert
let's
guy.
rank it. Where would he rank among safeties in today's game? Top 5, easy.
is he with Belichick or is he not with Belichick?
Anywhere. Which safety in the league would you take over him right now? Give me one.
I call Malcolm Jenkins out of retirement.
He's better than Malcolm
Only
Jenkins.
safety I've ever
He's
trusted.
better than Malcolm Jenkins.
Only safety I've ever trusted.
I'll say this.
Like,
Jamal
who's
Adams
better
healthy.
than him?
I'll take Jamal Adams healthy.
Jamal Adams hasn't been healthy in 15 years.
He was
Harrison
just
Smith?
healthy last night.
Harrison Smith is average. He's not better than
Harrison, the only issue with Harrison Smith right now is he's getting old.
Harrison Smith's good. I don't
He's just getting old.
He's not better than Rodney Harrison though. That's
Minka
that's my
Fitzpatrick?
point. Cheap shot artist, not better than.
Fair enough.
He's a
fair enough.
failed cornerback,
Kyle Hamilton,
not better than Rodney Harrison.
Marcus Williams,
Not better than Rodney Harrison.
Jesse Bates.
Same level maybe.
Justin Simmons.
Not better than Rodney Harrison.
Reed Blanken. Nah, I can't even.
Rodney Harrison was really good, man. On Madden, that dude was ranked in the 90s.
I'm just saying to
At
say
one-
it once or twice is one thing, but to continuously push it to try and get somebody to agree with you is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I just think people are soft as cotton tissue. Like, who cares? Honestly, I don't care what he thinks. He's paid to give his opinion. His opinion sucks. It's just like Stephen A. Smith. He talks nonstop about things, and like he talks about baseball. He doesn't even watch baseball, and so it's
The
like,
thing is,
who
Stephen
cares?
A. Smith has his own show, so I mean,
Why are people getting mad over someone giving their opinion when they're paid to give their opinion?
I mean, I kind of agree with sometimes when Stephen A. Smith goes on about Shohei Ohtani not being this all-time great player like they try to say. I mean,
Yeah, but baseball people get upset about that too. Who cares? It's his opinion. Like, Americans, stop being so soft. People can have an opinion. It can be different than yours. It's okay.
how are you assuming my opinion's soft?
Because you're an American. And you're crying about it because he said something that you didn't like.
All right, so
Grow up.
to get back,
Words can only hurt you if you let them.
It's not something that I don't like. I just think it's ridiculous that he
continuously.
I
said
agree
it.
it was a little much, but like also, I don't care. Like I don't think it's a big deal.
so then I think the Eagles win this game. And the way I think this happens is I think it's going to be a close game to the end. And I just think right there at the end, Stafford's going to try his little no-look check down pass, sidearm, and it's going to hit Kyron Williams right here. And it's going to go.
Let's go hit Cooper Kupp, and he's going 70 more yards.
It's going to go right through his hands. And guess who's going to be right there waiting for it?
Coop Cup.
Reed Blankenship's going to be like, oh my heavens. He's going to catch it, and he's going to slide down around the 50.
Never heard him mention Blankenship.
So much since Sunday. It's nonstop.
He didn't even look that great on Sunday. I'm just no. When I was studying for this game, I went through all the Eagles games, and he's been pretty good. Stafford hasn't gone against athletic safeties all that well in his career. Just gonna put that out there. But I'm really
against Rodney Harris.
But if Cooper Kupp and Stafford get back to their level, and he's able to keep the production, of course, it's not going to stay the exact same. I mean,
And he's got Puka, and that's going to open up Tutu to just run down the field.
I am praying I get to see a Tutu sighting, like a deep Tutu sighting.
Yeah, he's going to get one.
Like Tutu's been consistent. Like he's been getting a lot of catches every week. He's just not getting that deep bump.
Yeah.
But I think the Eagles win this game 24-21.
Should
The
we?
Eagles under Sirianni, they're 500 right now in West Coast games. I mean, they haven't had a lot of them, but when they go over there, the offense doesn't really travel all that well. So I think 24-21. Now, this is my game of the week. Niners-Cowboys.
Fair enough.
I have the Cowboys winning the game. I
That's
think
insane.
the reason I say this is streaks are meant to end. The Niners have beaten the Cowboys every year with Dak Prescott since 2018. Now, they did lose to them in 2020 when they had Andy Dalton, but that wasn't Dak. Dak hasn't looked great versus them, and they beat him the last 2 years. And as we said, Purdy's starting to have that kink in the armor, and he's 9-0 in his last games. Is he going to start 10-0 in regular season games, I should say? Is he going to start his career off 10-0? I don't think so, because I think he's going to run into a defense that slowed him down in the playoffs. They were only held to 19 points, and the reason they really got 19 is because Dak Prescott's favorite target was Fred Warner. I just think this year the Cowboys are going to be able to just beat them, and I really think it's going to be a low-scoring, like a semi-low-scoring game. And I think the Cowboys, they've looked great in primetime games this year. Of course, they've had one, it was 40-0, but under Dak, their primetime record actually has been horrible. I just think they win the game 21-17. I think it's going to be a wake-up call for the Niners. I think they need a loss to just get to that next level.
I think Cowboys win 28-17.
I
think it'll be close. Cowboys score like one at the end.
I was sitting here, and the difference between the last year's Cowboys that they played and that was close was Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs is not going to be in this game, so the pass defense is weakened. I mean, from what Purdy's faced before.
But they didn't have Stephon Gilmore last year. Now they have Stephon
They
Gilmore.
do have Stephon Gilmore now.
Yeah, he's like 50 years old.
He's still been great.
He has been playing a good football.
He had one bad week, and that also brings me.
That was against Josh Dobbs.
But I'm also going to bring me to my point. When the Cowboys lost Trayvon Diggs on Thursday, that Thursday before the Arizona, it kind of like took a shot out of them. Like they were like, "Oh man," and they never really. And then they
What
recovered.
happened to that is they walked into that game thinking they were going to.
That's actually where I'm going to say that I think that the Niners are very confident, and I think they're going to be looking at the Cowboys thinking it's a very easy win, and I think this is actually a sneaky trap game because the Cowboys are playing good throughout the season, but now their confidence is down, or was. So I think that actually I'm going to take the Cowboys to win, and I'm going to take them 27. No, I'll take it 30-27. Cowboys win.
I want to know why you guys think this is going to be an offensive game.
Because both offenses are.
I just think they're going to score enough. Like I think it's going to be ugly, but then you'll get touchdown drives.
Okay, this is the only reason I don't think it's going to be an offensive game. The worst red zone offense in football has been the Dallas Cowboys. They don't score red zone points.
They don't have to
I
get
just
to the
don't
ball
think.
deep.
And Dak everybody's like, "Oh, this Cowboys offense, number one scoring offense." If you take the defensive touchdowns out from what they've produced, the Cowboys actually don't even have a top 20 offense. But what am I saying? Dak's this, Dak that. Dak's an Hall of Fame quarterback. Cowboys fans, you crazy? Anyway, is there anything else you guys would like to add on to the podcast before we conclude this episode?
I think 24 of Dallas's points are going to be defensive, just because we said Purdy has kinks. So.
Kinky week for Purdy, huh?
Okay.
All right. Anyway, please subscribe, and until next time.
To be continued.